what is it today, recess? Yeah.
Yeah.
We only have until recess, so we'll probably argue for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, back and forth, and then we'll do our conclusions and our voting and all that. Do you all understand what we're doing?
Yes.
All right, who would like to do their introduction first? All right, so Solar, go ahead.
So, we'd just like to thank the honorable judges for coming out here today. Very pleased that you guys can make it. And so, our energy source is solar energy, and our energy source comes from the sun, and we use solar panels and solar towers to collect their energy. Next 3 paragraphs will describe how important we are. Solar towers. Solar towers produce more for less. This way of making energy is very simple. Sun's rays go into the panels and create the energy. This energy from the sun can multiply with solar towers. Solar towers are expensive and hard to install, but the rays from the sun are free. Solar panels and dishes. If you have a bunch of solar panels and dishes, you will get a bunch of energy. All this energy can be converted into batteries, and that's how you store the energy. This energy can power just about anything, like electronics, ovens, and microwaves. Environmental effects. This energy is very environmentally friendly because the sun doesn't pollute. This source is easily available and renewable and doesn't pollute the earth. Our energy power plant is big but has little effects on the environment. Conclusion. Therefore, solar energy is underrated and should be used more often. This energy source is very helpful, clean, and useful. All of our sources that we use will help the world a lot.
Hi everybody, before we start this debate on which energy source should power the United States, wind energy would just like to thank everybody for coming out to this debate. I'm so glad that we can have all these amazing honorable judges to decide the outcome of this debate. Before we start, I just hope that this will be a fair debate and that the best energy source win. Wind energy is a very old and successful way of generating energy from the wind. New technology has been constantly improving, so it just keeps getting better and better. Lots of flaws existed before, but now we are one of the strongest energy power plants. Wind turbines are cheap, produce a lot of energy, and don't pollute the air at all. We can power a lot of houses just for a little cost. The wind is completely renewable and it's free. The wind is always blowing as long as the sun is shining somewhere on Earth. It is a clean source and it's a great way to supply and generate energy. Wind turbines are one of the cheapest power plants there are. And our material, wind, is completely free. We are cheap to use because the wind energy is free and the wind turbines are not very expensive. And even less expensive is the 2-bladed wind turbine, and it is a lot safer. It also uses less material to build and to transport. Wind turbines have extremely simple technology and barely could ever have any technology problems. There are only 3 things that go on inside the turbines. Not many things could go wrong. The technology doesn't cost much because it is so simple and there are not many aspects to it. Wind energy is very easy to find and access as long as the sun is shining somewhere on Earth. The wind is blowing. So basically, the wind is always blowing. It will always be blowing until the sun blows up, which will probably happen in millions of years, and the world's fallout will probably have happened by then. So honestly, it doesn't really matter. We have been using wind energy for many years, and we will continue to use it. Wind energy does not have many effects on nature at all. There are a couple of threats that we can fix with new technology. One of the threats is that birds can get caught in one of the spinning blades and get injured or killed. New technology can fix and help that problem because companies are trying some strategies, like leaving the turbines dormant when the wind speeds reaches 5.5 miles per hour. And that will help because there is a less chance of birds getting hit. Bats have another way of dying, but there's a system called ultrasonic acoustics that repel bats away from the turbines. So that is why wind turbines are safe to wildlife. Overall, wind energy is a great way to generate and produce energy for these 3 reasons. It is clean, renewable, and safe. It's an energy source you can rely on.
Both of you guys did a nice job. When you get the choice of if you'd like to go first or second with your argument.
Yeah, we
Wanna
like to go first.
Alright.
Okay.
So then you get a minute for argument, minute for defense. Kiddo. Don't forget to use your technology when you need it.
Unlike solar energy, wind turbines work 24/7, 365 days a year, because the wind is always blowing, so there is no time that the turbines are not collecting energy, except the strategy of leaving the turbines dormant when the wind speed hits 5.5 miles per hour. Solar panels, on the other hand, only collect energy when the sun is shining in that specific area. So if you look at it this way, solar panels only work 10/7 because 14 hours of the day they aren't even collecting any energy. Now, before we end, you guys might say that you could use a battery to store the daytime energy, but that battery costs an installation price of at least $7,140. Done.
Well, we know that the batteries cost a lot, and we know that the sun only shines in the day, of course. But we have solar towers, and solar towers, when the sun shines, it takes all the sun rays and it makes it into more energy. So
it multiplies.
yeah, so the energy multiplies. So if we get about 7 hours of energy, 7 hours of sunlight per day, if it's when it's sunny outside, that'll equal at least 10 or 12 hours. And the batteries, since the budget is really high for us, we can get a lot of batteries, and the batteries store a lot of energy. So
you can use that for multiple sources.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, we defended against this last round, and we said that the energy will run into the night.
done.
Turn that on.
Yeah, just like scrolling the fences. So you around arguments, scrolling the fences.
Okay, so with a big concern to some people is that the wind turbines they think the wind turbines look ugly, and they don't really like them. They don't like to look at them all day.
And it. What?
You get one?
Well, most people actually like how the turbines look. There's always some who don't. But having a view of a couple wind turbines is a small price to pay for getting clean and renewable energy source. Just think about the sources of giant power plants or big smoke clouds. Besides wind farms, the turbines are mostly located in remote areas and out of towns and cities.
Done.
Solar farms have solar towers, and those make more light shine on the panels. It may mean more sun, but also means more glare and more heat. Birds have been scorched by the magnified light that has been too hot for the little birds. The poor things have also gotten trapped under all the solar panels. They will get too hot under there, and they can't get out.
And we have technology to show.
Pause.
I'm sorry I stayed out of it because I know I missed whatever it was while I was helping do it. So, at any point, let me know if you think they've exceeded their time, or you guys tell me if you think it is.
Yeah.
It's like 20 seconds.
So part of it is you have to be organized to do it, so that's fine. So why don't we come back and we'll try to get it the next time. Somebody can work on it while we continue with the debate. But you'd have to come back to it in a natural way later.
Alright.
Right, so the timer's back on, kiddo.
Done.
Oh, you said done?
Yeah.
I gotcha. Sorry.
No, but they said they wanted to use technology.
Yeah, but we don't have, so we just said done.
Yeah, it's all good, it's just, we exceeded our time. So is it an argument from Wynn?
It's
Okay, so I didn't hear the argument, so can somebody repeat it for me and not on the time?
Solar farms have solar towers, and those make more light shine on the panels. It may even seem more sun. It may mean more sun, but it also means more glare and more heat. Birds have been scorched by the magnifying light, and the light has been too hot for the little birds. The poor things have also gotten trapped under all the solar panels. They will get too hot under there, and they can't get out.
Thank you. All right, so go ahead and defend, kiddo.
Birds, we're working on thing where the birds have fences around it, the solar towers and the solar power plants, so they can't get in, do things, and is there anything on the air?
Yeah, and like they usually keep the solar towers at an angle, so even if they did fly into there, they could always turn around and fly back out.
And plus,
They don't keep them like flat.
And I bet this would not happen often, I'd say. It would only happen about, not often, not usually, just not on a daily basis. A bird would just fly into the sun and get burned and die, so
Yeah, they're not like bugs where they like
yeah, it's
like
not
the
common.
heat. It's not very common.
so we're working, scientists are working on a thing that the solar panels, when they trap the heat, it won't get as hot, so it won't scorch the birds.
Dumb.
No, it's there.
Yeah, it's the.
When the sun is shining and the turbines are rotating around, and a turbine's next to his house, the shadow flickers that it makes into the house can get pretty annoying, and the people won't like that.
And if you have like two turbines, even if you did switch it to two turbines, you'd still have the shadow.
Yeah, it would just be on and off and on and off with the light, and it'd be really annoying.
Yeah, it would be really obnoxious.
Okay. We do make shadow flicker, but the two blade design you said still makes shadow flicker, but it's safer and it would reduce the shadow flicker. But shadow flicker doesn't actually like hurt anything environmentally, but it just might bother some grandma who's living right on top of a wind farm, and also no one really lives that close to a wind farm.
Yeah.
Like we said, they're kind of in remote areas all over.
Yeah, and if somebody were to just like got the house right next to it, we could make the blades thinner so that it wouldn't affect it as much. And we found a video of that.
And they would also know that they're living right next to the wind farm, and they would know that they would have shadow flickers. They probably wouldn't find the house. And that's why no one lives near a wind farm.
Wait.
Right, you're not allowed. So what are you guys trying to do?
We found the video.
But you can't do it unless it fits in with the argument or the defense that you're currently using, okay? Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it's solar panel fields take up a bunch of space. A solar farm can range from 1 acre to 100 acres of land. 1 acre of land is 43,560 feet, and that is a lot. Plus, a solar farm takes up land on the ground, unlike wind turbines, which are up high and the towers are not so thick, so animals can still roam around them. Besides, 1 acre of land is $1,931, and we have some technology. So this is one wind farm, and this costs
Wait, what's that?
This is one wind. No, solar farm. Sorry. And this costs $850 million to set up. Look how much of these solar panels there are. And you have to wash the solar panels. So think of how much time that would take and how hard that would be.
And also, it says 850 million to set up, not to
Like actually
not
buy
to
the panels.
buy the supply, not to get the rare supplies that they use.
Yeah, and one
And buy the land.
and
buy the
one
land.
That's
panel
just to
costs
set up the
$1,000.
panels.
Think of how much
And also, animals can't roam around that like ours can.
Are you done?
Yeah, done. So yes, it does take a while, and I've never really heard of them having to wash them. That might be true because they may get dirty, but I don't think that's gonna affect that. And they could just probably use like a power washer or something and put a little soap in it. I don't think it would be that bad. And they may cost a lot, but they produce a lot of energy, and they do get a lot of sunlight, so they usually earn a lot of energy.
Yeah, just imagine how much the energy that produced. That probably could produce like almost half of the U.S., I'm guessing, with all those solar panels. Maybe not half. Well, not half, but a lot
Half.
of the
a lot of
U.S.
the U.S. So could tell a lot of the U.S.
I think it's worth it if we had to wash it every time they got dirty. So it's done. Alright, okay.
Severe weather can knock over and blow up turbines, and we have a
We
video.
have a video that we should show. It's the first one.
So these are some of the accidents that have happened to the wind turbines, and here's the thing. So once they fall over, it's gonna be a lot of money to clean up, especially because the wind turbines are so big that it will take such a pretty long amount of time for them to clean up, and then it's less energy once severe weather falls over. So
And plus, if one falls down, it can fall down. If you have them in a line, they can fall
yeah,
down
they could
like
tip over like
dominoes.
dominoes also.
And that will be a lot of
A
money.
little
set
slower
aside.
than dominoes, but still.
Hey, you're not allowed to tell. Oh, it's your argument.
Yeah,
I so
it's your
apologize. I thought it was the other team. I apologize, Nancy. I got worried though, right? Because if the other team was talking, that wouldn't be okay.
Okay, those were all wind turbine accidents.
Can you guys crank the volume? You know why you took out my plug for the volume? Somebody unplugged the
Well, there
speaker.
wasn't really anything.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, done. Okay.
The turbines may spin too fast in storms with the older designs, but new modern designs are much safer. The mishaps are only caused by giant storms and natural disasters.
And the thing is, with natural disasters, everything gets destroyed in natural disasters, and you said it costs a lot of money to clean it up. Everything costs a lot of money to clean up in natural disasters. A natural disaster would destroy everything. Giant storms also destroy a lot of things, and I'm pretty sure it could destroy your plant too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Like think of like this giant thunderstorm, or like this like giant windstorm. Think of how much you would have to clean up for that wind farm for that solar farm that we just showed. Done.
My worthy opponent's energy source uses solar panels and those panels require exotic materials to build. This is especially true for thin film solar cells that are based on either cadmium,
Based on cadmium telluride or copper, ignium, gallium, selenide, and those you have to mine for it, so your supply is not endless, and it will hurt the earth when you mine for them.
and
We have technology.
No.
and you rely on coal energy to build your solar panels. You use coal.
No, they don't.
Okay.
So, one that is true. However, once you get you have them built, and that you have them placed down and ready to create energy. It's quick, and you get tons of energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some. So, and once we find a place where we can get those rare materials, we can get a lot of them. So we only have to find one place where we can get one, and then we can get all of them. We can get, not all of them, but we could get many.
You know that picture you showed how it's expensive to set up? We didn't need much of that materials to set up that many solar panels. So it's easy that we get that many done.
Wind turbines don't work as well on hilly places than on flat places. They don't work as well for some reason.
And then like if they do install them, they have more of a chance that they're gonna fall over and maybe make the domino effect or like blow up and stuff.
Done.
Okay, sorry.
Well, we would just place them on like flatland country plains, but people are talking about putting wind turbines on the top of the Appalachian Mountains instead of blowing the tops off the mountains to mine for coal, and that would be way more green and the wind turbines would get a lot of wind up there. And we just wouldn't place them on hilly areas because there's a bunch of just flatland plains in like Wisconsin, all by us, Iowa.
Yeah.
Do we have anything? Okay, done.
Okay. An average solar panel costs about $1,000, and that's too expensive for most people to have. And there are solar towers. There are solar towers that project the light, but those cost $5.47 per kilowatt hour. That calculates to $131.28 per day, and there are usually 3 solar towers in one farm.
So that wind farm would probably have a bunch of solar towers, and they're $1,000 a panel. So think of how much money that is, and $131 per day. That's per day. That's like
Per day.
Yeah. Think of how much that would be in just 1 week. Done.
Okay, so it is true that they do cost a lot, but when you have the solar towers and you have the panels, they usually produce enough to make up for the cost, and you can switch the energy to ovens and microwaves and batteries and stuff.
Yeah, any electrical things that you use in your house can be used with solar energy. And you average 2 solar panels per roof if you have them, and that's about $2,000. That is a lot of money, but that means you don't really have to have any other energy any other energy you need in your house.
Like you wouldn't have to have a wind turbine next to your house.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have
You
any
only
like
need 2 solar
problems.
panels to power one house, or maybe even one. I don't know. Alright, done.
And the whole for wind turbines.
No, that was all I was
Those are
Yes.
It's, is it your guys' argument?
No, it's your defense.
What's your argument? It's your guys'
You
argument.
guys just defended.
We
Go
did?
ahead.
Yeah.
Then Aiden, go ahead.
Wind turbines you say are supposed to be green, but if you place them in long, large areas and rows, and that cuts down trees, which that defeats the whole green purpose. When solar panels and towers try to do it more like the rural areas like the desert. We have one in California called the Mojave Desert. Done.
Yes, we do cause deforestation, but that is only when we build and forest and have to cut down trees. But wind farms work best in plains, flatlands, and in remote areas. So that means that we don't need to cut down trees, which means no deforestation.
Because
Also, any power plant that was built in a forest would cause deforestation, including yours.
yeah, I mean,
So-
like, think of that. There were probably a couple hundred trees that you had to cut down to put all those
Yeah.
up. And say that they're just like little trees, we can build like above them, and it's not like a wind turbine's just gonna be like 50 feet from another turbine. They're probably gonna have a pretty big distance away from each other in a wind farm.
Yeah.
Done. Okay.
The solar tower's bright lights glare distracts nearby pilots flying planes. The pilots can easily get blind from the giant lights, and it's a hazard to have passengers when the pilot is blind. The plane can crash.
And we have
Pause.
technology.
Click on the original video on the bottom. This one's not your fault, you're organized, it's just the technology's not working.
Power plant located in the Mojave Desert of the United States is reportedly causing problems for airplane pilots. Complaints have been filed from both private and commercial pilots flying nearby Las Vegas McCarran Airport, passing over the Ivanpah solar electric generating system. The problem is the reflected glare from the solar panels causing visual interference for the pilots on a daily basis. Stretching for more than 5 square miles on federal land, this solar farm has almost 350,000 mirrors that have been compared to the size of a garage door, along with 3 towers that are equivalent to 40-story tall buildings. The Clark County Department of Aviation has received complaints from pilots that they are asking the company called Bright Source that runs the solar farm to survey how much glare is coming off the panels and contact information for pilots to be able to contact.
So nearby flying planes, their pilots get blind from the solar towers reflecting light, and as you can see, all those mirrors were shining up and reflecting all that light on the planes. Done.
Well, that can happen. It can blind the plane's glare, but they recently, and I think this is why, changed the flight patterns across the U.S. So I think they're going around it instead of going through the solar tower. Because it's a risk on the pilots and people getting hurt.
And maybe like, I'm not saying this to be mean, but like the pilots probably wear sunglasses, and then like the passengers could just pull down like the blind with their window.
And I bet the sunlight isn't that like
It may be
bright.
it may be pretty intense, but it's
But
not
it's-
so
I bet it's
intense
not
that you're gonna
intense.
die.
There's definitely gonna be light, but I bet it's not gonna be that intense.
Yeah, done.
So kiddos, why don't you choose your last two arguments?
I'm gonna do number 2.
This one,
How about this one?
If you're ready, go ahead and start.
It's ours. Yeah, so no, let Mason show you.
Alright, start the timer.
There is a radar in wind turbines in which, if it fails, the whole wind turbine can fall down.
Plus, the British have access to the code in the generator and the brakes, emergency brakes, so they can hack into it and make the generator, the emergency brakes, and the brakes fail on all the wind turbines nearby, which they can all fall down then. Done.
Radar interferences by wind turbines is a rare and easily avoided, though technology improvements and proper setting of turbines that are close to sensitive areas. And we have one for the turbines.
Turbines don't collapse very much, so it's not very likely that they will. And think about it, would the British really want our whole energy system to go down?
I mean, and you don't place a turbine in the most windiest area, you place it in the most consistent area. It's like you don't just research the most windiest area, because then, yes, it will fall down, but with a nice consistent breeze, the turbines can collect wind energy and they can produce it without any collapsing. Okay, so, done.
Solar panels make energy, but they also need energy to make the energy they produce. So they do not produce as much electricity as they should.
So, like, you need to, solar panels require, energy to work.
And the solar panels, you only really use 80% of the energy that the solar panel produces that that actually gets used, not including the energy that the solar panel uses.
Yeah. Can you repeat that?
Like the main things.
Yeah, so, solar panels make energy, but they also need energy to make the energy that they produce. so they do not produce as much electricity as they should. When they say we produce more electricity than they use, they mean they produce more electricity than the solar panels use. And you only use 80% of the energy that the solar panels produce, including the energy that the solar panel used to power itself.
But it's on your time, you're at 30 seconds.
Yeah, so we've never heard of using energy to like produce the energy. I've never really heard of that. And I bet if we need energy to make the energy, that's what you said. But I bet we would just take that energy and just make more of it. I guess because we have the solar towers, and we already told you that the solar towers multiply all the energy that
From
it
the
gets
sun.
from the sun. Done. So alright, I got it. That's right. So it can hurt. It's large and heavy, and it can hurt the underground life. And then because like when you install them, that it goes deep and it might kill some plants. Then that gives us oxygen. And if we're running on oxygen, well, that's not
It
good.
can like
We
hurt
run
the
out of
soil.
oxygen. It can
Yeah,
hurt the
it
soil,
hurts
and underground life. And then the energy that you produce like can't be stored in batteries, so that doesn't help. And it's large and heavy, so it's hard to like lug around and set up. So done.
Well, it's not. We don't have to make deforestation, so trees produce oxygen. So we're not gonna chop down the trees. Maybe we'll just put it in a plains where trees aren't. So then we're not reducing the amount of oxygen that we get.
And we're gonna put it in like the country flatlands, so there isn't gonna be like rich soil under all that like heated country plain. And before they put just like a solar panel on the ground, they're probably gonna check if there's like massive life underground in that area.
And my worthy opponents, you're talking about how hard it is to set up the wind farms.
Yeah, just think of like it costed $850 million for you guys to set up that one wind farm just to like set up.
Solar farm.
Yeah, a solar farm.
Done.
And
They have one
it's
more.
one solar panel doesn't generate much electricity. It only generates 15 to 20% of the sun rays that are hitting it. So you have to buy a lot of them to make it work.
And we've got
So, like,
technology.
Yeah, so it doesn't, we found this picture. One turbine or windmill equals 16,000 solar panels. So like, look how much more energy we produce.
And 16,000 solar panels takes up a lot more space than one wind.
Think about it. 16,000 solar panels. Think how much more money it would be than just buying one wind turbine.
Yeah. So only 15 to 20% of the sun rays that are hitting the panel only are the actual energy that is getting produced. Yeah. And done.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay, Valerie.
So solar panels may equal that much for one turbine, but as I said, the solar towers, they produce more for less than the solar panels around. Plus, the energy, the bigger it is, it can transport like more across the U.S. So like it travel farther when there's more solar panels.
Yeah. Because I don't really believe that one wind turbine equals 16,000 solar
Yeah,
panels.
whoever did that was probably over exaggerating a bit.
And plus, the energy, you can't store the energy in batteries for wind turbines, unlike solar panels and towers.
Yeah, we can.
You guys can go in the hall and write your conclusions.
Guys, good luck.
Good luck. Good luck.
So kiddos, what I want you to do is I want you to set up the room for later on in the day right now, because I don't have as much to tell you about, so let's save our time. We'll get to recess on time that way, so if you move the tables, move the chairs. We'll just stand for our last moment. So go ahead and help. I'll tell you, I'll share with you what I have.
I don't. That's 16,000.
What?